Hi, my name is Yvonne Wan and I'm the creator of Focus Comic. I'm an award-winning artist and I'm also an art educator too. I want to welcome you to today's class where I will teach you how to ink and colour the drawing that you did last week. This class is divided into two parts. The first part you will learn about inking. The second part you will learn about colouring. So first of all, I'd like to go over what art supplies you will need for this week's class. You will need paper, black marker, ruler, eraser, and colouring pencils. Optional items include a white jelly roll pen, a blender and burnisher pencil. So today's art class is going to be divided into two parts. The first part of the art class, you will learn how to ink your artwork. In the second part of the art class, you're going to learn how to colour your artwork. So let's talk about the importance of comic inking. A professional inker polishes the art by the penciler and prepares it for reproduction. The inker doesn't just trace over the pencils with ink, but often plays a role in cleaning up the pencil lines, adding depth and weight to a page, and giving it a three-dimensional look. The inker uses the placement of light and shadow to add prominence to certain elements and recede others based on what is most important. So today's inking class is for beginners. I would like you to go over the pencil lines with a regular Sharpie. I would like you to use a thinner marker for the detail. That way you get to see the lines more clearly where needed. If you're not sure whether or not to use a thin marker or thick marker, please look at the picture on the screen. So when it comes to comic book inking, the general outline tends to be a little bit thicker than the lines inside. This technique enables the viewer to quickly separate the object from the background. Linear hatching. This artistic technique is used to create tonal and shading effects, which adds texture and depth. I would like you to apply linear hatching to represent shadow in this picture. As you can see, the sun is at the top of the picture. What that means is that the shadow should be placed underneath any objects of interest. So in other words, I would like you to apply the shadow underneath focus and yourself as a superhero. Today we are just going to cover one type of hatching due to the limited time that we have available in today's class. Now that you have learned about basic inking techniques, I would now like to teach you about colouring. So I would like to introduce you to the use of colouring blenders when it comes to colouring your art. If you apply the blender to your colours, you will notice that the whites will start to vanish and the colours will become more smooth and solid. If you apply the blender on several colours, the colours will blend nicely, creating a gradation of colours and create new tones in the process. Blenders can make your art appear more smooth and realistic. And now I'm going to introduce you to the use of burnishers when it comes to colouring your art. A burnisher keeps your whites white. You can apply it as an undercoat or an overcoat. As an undercoat, you can use it to create brick lines, for example, and then colour in the bricks without needing to colour around it. If you want to create a shiny effect, you can choose to use the burnisher as an overcoat. So there are different effects you can achieve by the way you handle your pencil. So if you apply light pressure, the colours will come out lighter. If you apply medium pressure, it will appear a little bit darker. If you apply a lot of pressure, then it will be extremely dark and more solid. If you have trouble applying light pressure to your pencil, you can handle the pencil from the top. You will notice the colours will be a lot lighter as a result of the way you're holding the pencil. The directions of your strokes is important, so I highly recommend that you use one direction when you are shading. If you apply your strokes in different directions, you will notice that the colours will be inconsistent as a texture. Another stroke you might want to consider is applying cross-hatching, and that involves colouring in one direction for the first layer, and then the second layer you do the opposite direction, and that way you would be able to cover the full area very thoroughly and have a more solid appearance in pigmentation. Another texture you might want to consider is circular motions. This provides a different texture and can be very useful depending on what texture you prefer. Another technique you might want to try is layering. You can choose two different colours and put them on top of each other, creating new colour tones. So I'd like to teach you how to do highlights. First of all, you need to have a light source so you can determine which part of the drawing should have a brighter side and which side should have a darker side. And you can have the highlight using white, or you can use a burnisher. And here I'm just using grey to depict shadow. So now that I've taught you some basics when it comes to colouring techniques, I would like you to apply everything that you've learned to the drawing of focus. So just to summarise, the directions of the strokes matter, the pressure that you apply matters, the amount of layers that you apply also matters, and it's also important that you factor in highlights and shadows using whites and darker colours and the burnisher too. And always use a blender if you have that available to you, because it's always going to make your art pop. So there you have a completed picture of Focus, a new superhero in town, and also a bank robber making his escape. Feel free to show your friends and family and ask them for feedback. Remember to thank them for sharing their thoughts. Equally, if someone asks you for some feedback about their art, it would be kind to let them know what you like about their art. If they want constructive feedback, feel free to share your thoughts so that you can help them become the best artists they can be. It is always nice to share our creative ideas with others, as it helps us feel more connected with our community. So this brings us to the end of this class. I hope you had fun. I encourage you to experiment with colours at every opportunity you can get, because it's going to really help you become the best artist you can be. Thank you.